The big alien ship named Terrible Victory hung like a dark cloud over the small human base on Mars. The ship was black and huge, with sharp points sticking out from all sides. It made the human buildings below look like tiny toys. Commander Zakathraz stood at the front window of his ship, looking down at the red planet. His skin was covered in blue-purple scales that shone under the ship's lights. He had 4 eyes set in a diamond shape on his face, and they all narrowed as he watched Mars turn slowly below. "These humans," he said, his voice deep and rough like rocks falling down a hill. "They keep spreading across space like a disease. First their own planet, then their moon, and now Mars. The Council says it's time to stop them." The other aliens on the bridge stayed very quiet. No one wanted to catch the commander's attention when he was in a bad mood. Zakathraz was known for his quick temper and even quicker punishments. "How long have we been watching them?" Zakathraz asked, not turning around. Officer Verkal, who was in charge of watching the humans, stepped forward. He was careful to keep his head lower than his commander's. 3 Earth days, sir. They noticed us 6 hours ago. Their little base has been very active since then." "And what have they done?" "Mostly they just look at us with their machines. They sent some radio signals asking who we are, but we didn't answer. They've closed all their doors and turned on some weak shields." Zakathraz made a sound like a laugh, but there was no happiness in it. "Shields that our smallest gun could break through, good." He finally turned around to face his crew. The light caught on the sharp teeth in his mouth. "I think it's time I went down to say hello. Prepare my shuttle and my best warriors. Let's see what these humans are made of." Down on Mars, the human base called Outpost Delta was in complete chaos. Red warning lights flashed in every hallway. A voice kept repeating over the speakers. "Unknown spacecraft in orbit. All personnel report to emergency stations. This is not a drill." Security Chief Alan Carter ran through the narrow corridors, pushing past people who were rushing to their posts. Alan was tall with short brown hair that was going gray at the sides. He had been on Mars for 3 years, and until today his job had been pretty boring. Now he was facing something no human had ever dealt with before: aliens. He reached the main control room and found it packed with people. Everyone was talking at once, and the noise hit him like a wall. "Everyone quiet!" he shouted, and the room went silent. "Director Wells, what's happening?" Catherine Wells stood in the center of the room. She was in her 40s with dark skin and short black hair. As the person in charge of the entire Mars base, everyone respected her. Despite the crazy situation, she looked calm. "Something's coming down from the alien ship," she said, pointing to a big screen on the wall. The screen showed a small craft leaving the big ship and heading toward Mars. "It looks like they want to talk, or they want to attack," said Sam Rodriguez, who ran all the communications equipment. Sam was younger than the others, with nervous hands that never stopped moving. "We've been sending messages for hours, but they never answered." "That's not a good sign." Alan moved to stand next to Catherine. "Do we have any orders from Earth?" he asked quietly. Catherine shook her head. "Radio takes 20 minutes each way. By the time we get any orders, this will all be over, one way or another. So we're on our own," Alan said, rubbing his hand over his face. 50 scientists and support staff against an alien ship that could probably blow up the whole planet." "Not just 50 people," Catherine corrected him. 51, if you count Buddy. At the sound of his name, a golden dog lifted his head from where he had been sleeping under a desk. Buddy was a golden retriever with soft yellow fur and bright brown eyes. He had come to Mars with Alan as part of a study on how Earth animals adapt to Mars gravity. He was also trained as a search and rescue dog in case anyone got lost in the maze of tunnels under the base. Buddy stood up, stretched, and walked over to Catherine. She bent down to scratch his ears, and his tail wagged happily. In this room full of scared humans, Buddy was the only one who seemed perfectly relaxed. "We need a plan," Alan said, turning to look at everyone in the room. "They're coming down, and we have no idea what they want. We need to be ready for anything." Olivia Bennett, one of the security officers, spoke up. "We have weapons. Not many, but enough to—" "No," Catherine cut her off. We are not shooting first. We're scientists, not soldiers. If they're hostile, we probably can't win a fight anyway. If they're peaceful and we attack them, we might start a war that could destroy Earth. So we just surrender? Greg Washington asked. He was the biggest person on the base, a former military man who now handled heavy equipment. No, Catherine said firmly. We talk. We show them we're smart and worth talking to, and we have something ready just in case. She looked down at Buddy again. Alan, I want you to pick 3 people and meet these aliens outside. Show them we're not afraid, but be careful. And take Buddy with you. Alan stared at her. The dog? You want me to take a dog to meet the first aliens in human history? Catherine smiled slightly. Trust me. Sometimes the best weapon is the one that doesn't look like a weapon at all. As if he understood, Buddy barked once, his tail still wagging. All right, Alan agreed, though he still looked doubtful. Greg, Olivia, Sam, you're with me. Everyone else stay inside and be ready. If something goes wrong, seal all the doors and call Earth. Tell them. He paused, looking for the right words. Tell them we did our best. The alien shuttle was getting closer. On the screen, they could all see it entering the thin Martian atmosphere, a trail of fire behind it as it came down. It's landing about half a mile from the main entrance, Sam said, checking his computer. They'll be here in less than 15 minutes. Alan nodded, trying to look more confident than he felt. Then we better go welcome our visitors. Come on, Buddy. The dog jumped up and followed him out of the room. As they left, Catherine called after them. Remember, Alan, first impressions matter. The future of our whole species might depend on what happens in the next hour. No pressure, Alan muttered to himself as he headed toward the airlock. Alan, Olivia, Greg, and Sam stood in the small room next to the airlock. They were putting on their Mars suits, special clothes that let them breathe and stay warm on the cold, thin-aired planet. The suits were orange with clear helmets, and each had a small American flag on the shoulder. Everyone clear on what we're doing? Alan asked as he checked his suit's air tanks. Olivia nodded. She was young, but tough, with short blonde hair and quick eyes that missed nothing. We go out, we say hello, we try not to get killed by aliens. Greg laughed, but it sounded nervous. Simple enough. He was struggling to get his massive shoulders into his suit. Sam was the most worried. His hands shook as he put on his helmet. What if they don't understand us? What if they think a wave hello is a threat? That's why Catherine is staying inside, Alan reminded them. If things go bad, she seals the base and calls Earth. He looked down at Buddy, who was sitting patiently beside him. Someone had made a special Mars suit for the dog, complete with a clear bubble helmet. Buddy didn't seem to mind wearing it. He had been trained to wear all kinds of equipment for search and rescue. Are we really bringing the dog? Greg asked, looking doubtful. Director's orders, Alan said, bending down to secure Buddy's suit. And I've learned not to question Catherine's hunches. She's usually right. Through a small window, they could see the alien shuttle. It had landed about a quarter-mile away and was sitting quietly on the red dirt. It was shaped like a teardrop, smooth and black, with no visible windows or doors. They're coming out, Sam said suddenly, pointing. A piece of the shuttle's side slid open, and a ramp extended down to the ground. 5 tall figures walked slowly. Down the ramp. Showtime, Alan said. Remember, friendly, respectful, and alert. Let's go. They entered the airlock, a small room between the base and the outside. The inner door closed behind them and air hissed as it was sucked out of the room. Then the outer door slid open, and they stepped onto the surface of Mars. The sky above them was a pale pink-orange. The ground was red-brown dirt and rocks as far as they could see, broken only by their base and the alien ship. In the distance rose the slope of a small mountain. Alan led the way, walking slowly toward the aliens. Buddy trotted beside him, somehow managing to look happy even inside his spacesuit. The dog's tail wagged back and forth. The aliens were walking toward them, too. As they got closer, Alan could see them better, and he had to force himself not to stop and stare. The aliens were much taller than any human, at least 7 feet high. Their skin was covered in scales like a reptile, colored deep blue-purple. Each alien had 4 eyes set in a diamond pattern on their faces. They had no nose that Alan could see, just small holes where a nose would be. Their mouths were wide and full of pointed teeth. They wore black armor with strange symbols on the chest, and they moved like soldiers, stiff, alert, and dangerous. The two groups stopped about 20 feet apart. For a long moment, nobody moved or spoke. Alan could hear his own breathing inside his helmet, too fast and too loud. Then the alien in the middle stepped forward. This one was even taller than the others and had extra marks on its armor. It had to be their leader. The alien raised a hand and touched something on its wrist. A small box on its belt made a crackling noise, and then words came out. English words in a strange, flat voice. "I am Commander Thraz of the Galactic Dominion," the alien said through the translation box. "Your presence on this planet is not allowed. You have entered Dominion space without permission." Alan looked at the others quickly. This was bad news. He stepped forward to answer, but Catherine had told him to let her handle the talking through his radio link. "Tell them I am Station Director Catherine Wells," her voice said in his ear. "Tell them we didn't know this area belonged to anyone. Humans are new to space travel and meant no disrespect." Alan repeated her words. The alien commander's 4 eyes all narrowed at once, which was an unsettling sight. "Ignorance is not an excuse," Thraz said. "The Dominion has ruled this star system for 1,000 years. Your species has expanded too quickly and without proper submission to galactic law. We would be happy to learn about these laws," Alan Dariti said, repeating Catherine's words. "We welcome peaceful talks with your Dominion. Peace is earned," the alien commander said. "The weak do not dictate terms to the strong. The Dominion Council has decided your species must prove its worth or accept your place as a protected lesser species." Alan didn't need Catherine to tell him this wasn't good. Protected lesser species sounded a lot like slaves to him. "What kind of proof are you looking for?" he asked. The alien made a strange gesture with its hand, and one of the other aliens stepped forward. This one was carrying a box made of some shiny metal. The alien opened the box, and something moved inside. Alan leaned forward slightly to see better. In the box was what looked like a metal bug the size of a small dog. It had 6 legs with sharp points at the ends. 2 red lights on its front looked like eyes, and it had something that might be weapons on its back. "This is a battle drone," Commander Thraz explained. "A simple test of your species' abilities. If your champions can defeat it, we will talk as equals. If not, your outpost now belongs to the Dominion." Greg muttered something under his breath. Olivia's hand moved, closer to her gun. "And if we don't accept this test?" Alan asked, though he was pretty sure he knew the answer. "Then you have already failed," the alien said simply. "Your base will be taken now instead of later. You have 1 hour to decide and prepare. Choose your champions wisely." The commander's eyes dropped to look at Buddy, who was sitting calmly beside Alan. "What is this small creature? Is it a weapon?" Alan almost laughed despite the serious situation. "This is a dog. His name is Buddy. He's from Earth." The commander studied Buddy with all 4 eyes. "Is it dangerous?" Alan thought about how Buddy had spent that morning chasing his own tail and begging for belly rubs. "He can be," Alan said carefully. "When he needs to be." The alien made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Interesting. 1 hour, humans. Then we will see what your species is truly made of." The aliens turned and walked back to their ship, moving with that same careful, dangerous grace. As soon as they were far enough away, Sam let out a long breath. "Well, that could have gone better." "Could have gone worse too," Olivia pointed out. "At least they're giving us a chance." Greg looked down at the dog. "Though I'm not sure what good Buddy's going to be against that metal bug thing. It had blades on it, and probably lasers." Alan bent down and patted Buddy's helmet. The dog's tail was still wagging. "I don't know," he said thoughtfully. "Catherine was right to bring him out here. Did you see how the alien commander looked at him? They've never seen a dog before. They don't know what he can do." "What can he do against a battle robot?" Sam asked. Alan stood up. "I don't know yet, but we've got 1 hour to figure it out. Let's get back inside and make a plan." As they walked back to the base, Alan looked over his shoulder at the alien ship. He had a feeling that whatever happened in the next few hours would change the future of the entire human race. And somehow, a golden retriever named Buddy was going to be right in the middle of it all. As soon as they got back inside the base, alarms started ringing. All 50 people who lived and worked at Outpost Delta ran to the big meeting room. Everyone was talking at once, and many looked scared. "Quiet, please," Catherine shouted, standing on a chair so everyone could see her. The room slowly went silent. "I know you've all heard about our visitors. They call themselves the Galactic Dominion, and they say we're trespassing on their territory." A woman in the back called out, "But we didn't know. Earth has been sending rockets to Mars for decades." "They don't care," Alan said, stepping up beside Catherine. "They've given us a choice. Either we pass their test, or they take over our base and maybe Earth too." "What kind of test?" asked Paul Mitchell, the base's chief engineer. He was older than most, with gray hair and clever hands that could fix almost anything. Alan explained about the battle drone. As he described the metal bug with its sharp legs and glowing red eyes, people in the room looked more and more worried. "We can't fight that thing," Olivia said, shaking her head. "It's built for war. We're just scientists and workers." "Maybe we could use our mining robots," Paul suggested. "I could reprogram them to—" "In an hour?" Catherine cut him off. "And they're so slow. That alien bug would tear them apart." People started arguing. Some wanted to fight, some wanted to run, and some thought they should just give up. The noise got louder and louder until a quiet voice spoke from the back of the room. "I think we're looking at this all wrong." Everyone turned to see who had spoken. It was Dr. Lisa Alvarez, the scientist who studied alien life. She was small, with long dark hair and serious eyes. She rarely spoke at meetings, so when she did, people listened. "What do you mean, Lisa?" Catherine asked. Lisa walked to the middle of the room where Buddy was lying on the floor. The dog had been watching everyone with his head on his paws. When Lisa came close, his tail started to wag, thumping against the floor. "The alien commander said champions, more than one," Lisa said, kneeling down to pet Buddy. "What if we don't fight their technology with our technology? What if we show them something completely different?" "What are you thinking?" Alan asked, though he had a feeling he already knew. Lisa looked up at him, then around at everyone else. "I think we should send Alan and Buddy." For a moment, the room was completely silent. Then everyone started talking at once again. "A dog?" Greg said loudly over the noise. "You want to send a dog against a killer robot?" "Not just a dog," Lisa said firmly. "Buddy is special. He's smart and fast. He was trained for search and rescue work on Earth before he came here. His nose can smell things a mile away. His ears can hear sounds we can't. And he always follows commands perfectly." "But he's just an animal," someone called out. "What can he do against a machine with weapons?" "That's exactly the point," Lisa said, standing up. "The aliens have never seen a dog before. They don't know what Buddy can do. They're expecting us to send a robot or a person with a gun. They won't be ready for something like Buddy." Alan walked over and looked down at the golden retriever. Buddy looked back at him with trusting brown eyes. "It's crazy," he said slowly. "But it might work. It's not what they're expecting." "Exactly," Lisa smiled. "Sometimes the best weapon is the one that doesn't look like a weapon at all." People kept arguing, but Catherine finally raised her hand for silence. "We don't have many options," she said, "and we have less than an hour now. I think Lisa's plan is our best chance. Alan, are you willing to do this? With Buddy?" Alan nodded, though his stomach felt tight with worry. "Yes, but we need to get ready." The next 45 minutes were very busy. Everyone worked together to prepare Alan and Buddy for the fight. Paul and his team looked at the video they had taken of the drone and tried to figure out how it worked and where its weak spots might be. Lisa worked with Alan to plan special commands for Buddy. Sam checked the radio link so Catherine could talk to Alan during the fight. Olivia and Greg put together special armor. For Alan, they added extra metal plates to his Mars suit. For Buddy, they took apart one of the small supply sleds and made a light but strong vest that covered his body, but still let him move fast. As they worked, Alan watched Buddy, the dog, seemed happy and calm, like this was just another training day. He didn't understand that the future of all humans might depend on him. In a way, Alan was glad for that. "Do you think this will really work?" he asked Lisa quietly as she helped him put the armor on Buddy. Lisa fitted a small earpiece into Buddy's ear so he could hear commands clearly. "I don't know," she admitted, "but I do know that through all of human history, we've always surprised people who underestimated us. The aliens are expecting us to think like them, to send weapons against weapons, but humans are different. We don't just build tools, we make friends with other species. We work together." She scratched Buddy behind the ears and he licked her hand. "That's our real strength, that's what they don't understand." When there were only 5 minutes left, Catherine called everyone together again. Alan and Buddy stood in front of the group, both wearing their special armor. Buddy's tail was still wagging. "Alan, Buddy, you're not just fighting for this base," Catherine said seriously. "You're representing all of humanity out there. The aliens will judge our whole species by what happens in the next hour." Alan took a deep breath. "No pressure, right?" A few people laughed nervously. Catherine smiled and put her hand on his shoulder. "We'll be watching from inside. Sam will keep the radio link open. If things go bad, I know," Alan said. He bent down and checked Buddy's armor one last time, making sure it was secure but comfortable. The dog looked up at him with complete trust in his eyes. "Ready, boy?" Alan asked. Buddy barked once, loud and clear, like he was saying, "Yes." Alan looked around at all the faces watching them, friends and colleagues who were counting on him. "Well," he said, trying to sound brave, "let's go show these aliens what humans and dogs can do together." As they walked toward the airlock, Alan couldn't help thinking that this was probably the strangest first contact in history. No one back on Earth would ever believe that humanity's fate might rest on the shoulders of a golden retriever named Buddy. But somehow, walking beside the happy dog with his wagging tail, Alan felt a little better about their chances. The time had come. Alan and Buddy walked out of the airlock and onto the red soil of Mars. The aliens had set up a fighting area, a big square marked with strange glowing lines on the ground. Commander Zikthraz and his warriors stood on one side. The human team, Catherine, Olivia, Greg, Sam, and Lisa, stood on the other side. The sky above was turning darker as evening came to this part of Mars. The ground was rust-colored dirt and small rocks. It was very quiet. No wind, no birds, no sounds except their breathing inside their helmets. Alan tried to look confident as he walked to the middle of the square. Buddy stayed right beside him, matching his steps. Despite all the strange things happening, the dog seemed happy and ready for whatever came next. Commander Zikthraz stepped forward. The alien was very tall and scary-looking in the fading light. "Human," the translation box said, "have you chosen your champions?" Alan nodded inside his helmet. "Yes, myself and Buddy." All 4 of the commander's eyes moved to look at Buddy. The alien's head tilted slightly like it was confused. "This small animal is your second champion?" "Yes," Alan said. "On Earth, humans and dogs have worked together for thousands of years." The commander made a sound that might have been a laugh. Interesting choice. He turned and waved to one of his warriors, who stepped forward with the metal box. The warrior opened the box and the battle drone crawled out. It was even scarier up close. It had 6 legs ending in sharp metal points. Its body was shiny black, metal with red lines running through it like veins. 2 red lights on the front looked exactly like evil eyes. On its back were 2 thin metal tubes that Alan was pretty sure were weapons. The drone moved in a jerky, insect-like way that made Alan's skin crawl. It clicked its front legs together, making a sound like knives hitting each other. "The rules are simple," Commander Zikthraz said. "If your champions defeat our drone, your species will be recognized as worthy of respect. If not, your base and your planet become property of the Galactic Dominion." The alien backed away to the edge of the square. "Begin when ready." Alan took a deep breath and looked down at Buddy. The dog was watching the drone carefully, his body tense but not scared. "Let me know if you need help," Catherine's voice said in Alan's ear through the radio. "We're all watching." "Thanks," Alan muttered. No pressure. He knelt down and pretended to check Buddy's armor while actually whispering to him. Remember the plan, boy. Fast and unpredictable, just like we practiced. Buddy gave a small bark. Inside his helmet, Alan stood up and looked at the alien commander. We're ready. Commander Zeke-Thraz stepped to the edge of the square and raised one scaled hand. Then let the trial begin. The alien's voice got louder as it shouted, Unleash the beast. Alan felt a smile tug at his mouth despite the danger. He looked at Buddy, the golden retriever with his wagging tail and friendly eyes, and then back at the commander. You mean this cute pup? He said loudly. Then he knelt quickly and whispered, Go, Buddy. Circle. What happened next would be talked about on Earth and across the stars for many years to come. Buddy shot forward like he'd been fired from a gun. He didn't run straight at the drone, but instead ran in a crazy zigzag pattern that was impossible to predict. The drone seemed confused. It turned its red eyes to follow Buddy, but the dog was too fast, changing direction every second. The drone made an angry sound and fired something from the tubes on its back. Red beams of light hit the ground where Buddy had been a moment before, leaving small smoking holes in the dirt. But Buddy was already somewhere else running in another direction. The aliens watched with all their eyes wide open. They had clearly never seen anything like this golden dog moving so fast and so smart. Speak, Alan commanded. Buddy stopped running for a second and let out a series of loud, sharp barks. The sound was extra loud inside his helmet, and it echoed across the Martian landscape. The drone stopped moving, its red eyes fixed on Buddy like it couldn't believe what it was hearing. Roll, Alan called next. Buddy dropped and rolled in the red dirt, sending up a small cloud of dust. He looked like he was playing, having fun. The drone seemed even more confused, but then it saw its chance. It rushed forward, all 6 pointed legs moving fast, heading straight for the rolling dog. This was exactly what Alan had hoped would happen. Up, Buddy. Now. Just as the drone reached him, Buddy sprang up and to the side in one smooth motion. The drone, going too fast to stop, crashed into the ground where Buddy had been a second before. Before it could get up, Buddy was on top of it, grabbing something on the drone's back with his strong jaws and pulling hard. There was a cracking sound, and Buddy jumped away with a piece of metal in his mouth. The drone made a high whining noise and tried to stand up, but now it was moving strangely like it was hurt. The aliens were completely silent, watching with what looked like shock on their scaled faces. Good boy, Alan called. Again, but find the eyes. Buddy dropped the piece of metal and circled the drone again, still moving in that unpredictable pattern. The drone tried to follow him, turning around and around, but it couldn't keep up. It fired its red beams again, but they all missed, hitting nothing but dirt. As the drone turned, Buddy darted in from behind and grabbed one of the glowing red eyes in his teeth. With a sharp jerk of his head, he tore it free. The drone made a horrible screeching sound and started spinning in circles, now half blind. Finish it, Alan shouted. Find the control spot. Buddy ran around the confused drone, looking for the weak point that Lisa had guessed would be there. The drone was moving more and more slowly now, damaged and confused. Finally, Buddy saw what he was looking for, a small raised spot on the underside of the drone. He darted in, his timing perfect, and bit down hard on that spot. The drone froze in place. Its remaining red eye flickered once, twice, and then went dark. The machine fell over on its side, completely dead. For a moment, there was total silence on the Martian plain. No one moved. No one spoke. Then Buddy trotted back, to Alan, his tail wagging happily. In his mouth he carried the red eye he had torn from the drone. He dropped it at Alan's feet and sat down, looking up at him like he was waiting for a treat. Alan reached down and patted Buddy's helmet. Good boy, he said softly. The best boy. From the edge of the square, Commander Zeke-Thraz and the other aliens stared at them. For once, the alien commander seemed to have no words. After the fight, no one moved for a long moment. The aliens stared at Buddy with all their eyes wide open. The humans held their breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Finally, Commander Zeke-Thraz walked slowly toward Alan and Buddy. The Tall alien moved carefully like he was thinking very hard about each step. When he got close, he looked down at Buddy with a strange expression. "This creature," the commander said, the translation box making his voice sound flat. "It is very special. A living weapon of great skill." Alan smiled inside his helmet. "This is a dog, Commander, a golden retriever. On Earth, there are friends and helpers. Buddy here was trained to find lost people and help them." "You mean," the commander's voice got quieter, "this is not a war animal? Not made for fighting?" Catherine had walked up to join them. "No," she said. "Dogs have lived with humans for thousands of years. We help each other. They give us loyalty and companionship, and we give them care and love." "Love?" The alien seemed confused by the word. "It means to care deeply about someone else," Catherine explained. "To put their needs alongside your own." Commander Zakathraz walked in a circle around Buddy, looking at him from all angles. Buddy watched the alien with friendly interest, his tail still wagging slightly. "May I touch it?" the commander asked, sounding unsure. "Him," Alan corrected. "And yes, if you're gentle. Buddy, say hello." Buddy took a step toward the alien and sat down, looking up with bright eyes. Slowly, very carefully, Commander Zakathraz reached out one scaled hand. He touched Buddy's head through the clear helmet. "It's warm," the alien said, sounding surprised. "And soft." For a few minutes, everyone watched as the commander of an alien war fleet petted a golden retriever. The alien asked questions about dogs, how long they lived, how they were trained, what they ate. Alan and Catherine answered, and slowly the fear and tension in the air started to fade. Finally, Commander Zakathraz stood up straight and looked at Catherine. "Director Wells, I think the Dominion has made a mistake. We thought humans were just another species taking resources in space. But any people who can make friends with other living things, who can work together like this, has something special." The commander touched his forehead and then held out his hand, palm up. "I want to learn more about humans and dogs. The Dominion would be better with allies like you than with enemies." Catherine copied his gesture, touching her helmet where her forehead was and extending her hand. "We would like that very much, Commander." Later, as the aliens prepared to go back to their ship, Commander Zakathraz came to speak to Alan privately. "On my home planet," the alien said quietly, "we have animals we use for hunting. They obey perfectly because they fear us. But they never—" He looked at Buddy, who was getting belly rubs from Lisa. "They never look happy to see us." Alan smiled. "If our people become friends, Commander, maybe you could have a puppy of your own someday." For the first time, the alien's face made an expression that looked almost like a smile. "I would like that, Alan Carter. Very much." As the alien shuttle took off, Catherine stood with Alan and Buddy watching it rise into the pink Martian sky. "Not what I expected for humanity's first meeting with aliens," she admitted. Alan laughed and looked down at Buddy, who was sitting happily beside him. Who would have thought that the future of Earth would be saved by a dog who just wanted to play fetch? Buddy barked once as if he understood and wagged his tail. He didn't know he was a hero. He was just a good boy who had done what his human asked. And sometimes, that's the greatest heroism of all. The end.